in this lesson, we'll talk about using p-tex to create textures. And p-tex is just another way of painting in Mudbox. It doesn't rely on UVs. And so we'll use this on the eyes of our character. So let's turn off the visibility on him. And if we want to take one of these eyes and kind of isolate it, we can do that. Let me just edit the material really quickly. So I'm going to go into edit the material. Let's take down the reflection a little bit. All right. So we can always dial this back up later on if we want to. And let's take down the specular a little. All right. And so now we need to do the same thing here as far as painting, but we need to set this up in a different way. So if we have any subdivision levels, we'll go ahead and go down to our low level. And to set up the p-tex, we need to go to UVs and Maps, and right here under p-tex Setup. So this is going to bring up a window, and it's going to give you a lot of information about what you need to actually do. Really, all you're looking for is the detail that's shown on your model, and you want to get it to a level where it's acceptable to you. So you don't want it to be too low, you can see here, or too high. You want it to be kind of right where you need it to be. Okay, you don't want to overdo it, but you need to have enough detail under there. All right, and so in order to change this, we can go up here to decrease the resolution. Okay, and you can see it's starting to get a little bit chunky and blurry. Or you can increase this until it gets a little bit sharper. Okay, and I'll give you kind of an indication of what kind of a texture map that would kind of be. Okay, but this is all based on per texel texture here. And so let's go ahead and say that's good, and now we're done. So we don't have to worry about any UVs. If we actually go to try to look at the UVs, it says it's currently using p-tex. We don't need UVs. And so now we just deal with this in this exactly the same way. So I would come in here to create a paint layer. This time we're creating a p-tex file. So that's some of the options are eliminated here, but it's basically the same thing. So we want to create color, go into layers. Let's choose kind of a white. And we'll go ahead and choose that. And then I want to flood the layer just as we did with the other layers. We can flood that layer. And it doesn't look white, and that's just because of the lighting. So remember, we're using that on target process so that we can increase our lighting in here. We could increase the directional light, which you can see is this yellow color. So that's the reason that we're getting that sort of a look. And so if you really want it to see it white, you can see there it is. All right, so we want to maintain that process. So with the lighting that we have, this is what it's going to look like. Now I'm going to turn off isolate, and I'll turn back on our little character. And so what I really want to do is I want to paint little pupils in here, but I don't know exactly where, and so I want to make sure that I have that model in the scene here. If you want to bring up this color a little bit, we can actually go into our incandescence and add a little bit of ambient in there to kind of brighten that up a bit. Let me bump our reflection strength up just a hair. And get something that is close to what we want. Now we can start to kind of paint this in. So I would just use the paintbrush, and we can, if you wanted to get kind of a color, you could get maybe like a green color, and could come in here. I don't want to choose a fall off. I want kind of a hard fall off on the sides, and so I could maybe get this fall off here, and I could come in and begin painting in some color right in there. If you wanted to maybe get that be a little bit more saturated, we could do that as well. All right, now we could come back and get like a black, reduce our brush size a little bit. And add sort of the pupil in there. Now if you really wanted to get in to modifying this, you could come in and sample our color and then get maybe a darker version of that, or you could use, actually you just use dodge and burn, turn off our stamp, kind of a really small brush size, and you could come in, just start to add a little bit of detail here coming in the eye. Okay, then if you wanted to grab a stamp, you could get maybe one of these stamps in here. Start to break this iris up a little bit. You can go back to burn and do the same thing. And I don't really need to add a lot of detail in here. We're not going to be too close on the eye, but just kind of add a little bit of detail. All right. And then we can come in and after the fact, if we wanted to choose that eye, which would be the left eye, and then we could come in and sort of rotate it around a little bit to match our eventual pose. Okay. And so our paint layers exist as PTEX, and we're not working with UV, so that if we were taking this out of Mudbox, we would have to transfer this to a UV-based texture or use it in an application that could read PTEX files, which is not every application, but there are several out there that will. All right, so just remember, you can use UVs with your texture, or you can use PTEX. And if you're going to use PTEX, go down to the lowest level, go to UVs and maps, and run this PTEX setup. And it's just a very simple process of dialing it in. And you just want to visually check. And as soon as it's at the level where you find it acceptable, I would go there and choose that for your resolution. So you don't want to overdo it. All right, so you can set up and create your textures using PTEX as well. You don't have to worry about UVs at that point. Now, if you want to get it out of this application, that would be probably when you would want to worry about your UVs. So just try to think ahead a little bit. All right, so the next thing we'll do is go in and paint some texture for the penny and the rest of the set. So let's go ahead and do that next.